You're listening to The Sports Coma, your new #1 podcast on everything Saints, Pelicans, and a lot more. And now, here's your host, Big Q and the guys.
Welcome back to The Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We're talking about LSU. For all the LSU people out there who bleed purple and gold, the LSU people, man.
I see somebody bleed purple and gold, I'm calling the FBI or something, man. They call them Men in Black.
Hey, listen, man. I'm telling you, man. They got guys, man, that bleed black. I mean, not black. They bleed black and gold, and they bleed purple and gold. Listen, the LSU Tiger fans are real, man. We got a lot of them listen to the show. Thank y'all, guys. Because we're going to talk about some LSU because that's our favorite college team beyond the Saints and the Pelicans.
You heard me? The Men in Bama.
Man, we need them guys to step on some Crimson Tide. Right, we got to stop that phenomenon. But anyway, this segment we're going to talk about LSU news and break down some really interesting stories. Of course, DC got the story about what Les Myles is in a little, maybe perhaps some sour grapes. So let Ogeron, maybe some complimentary words. We're going to talk about that in just a second.
Them grapes sound like fine wine to my ears, to be exact. Right. Coach O was getting a business from Les Myles. He was going in on him, man.
Hey,
I mean, I don't know what made Les Myles just come out on Thursday. That was a while ago now. We just covering it. But it was on the John Ennis show. First, he goes into talking about recruiting. He says, I mean, when you watch middle linebacker play with those defensive linemen out there was some recruiting that was done. I guess alluding to the fact that Les Myles didn't have a good recruiting class, that he had to build up, from what he had. Like, he didn't leave him Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis, and all these other players, Trevor Durrell. And I mean, a lot of guys.
A lot of talent.
I'm just naming offense. I ain't even get to the defense.
He ain't leaving with a bare cupboard, that's for certain.
And Les Myles goes on to say, I guess what I'm saying is that I never accepted the feeling of, hey, you need to have patience, Myles said. When you say that, you need to have patience, aren't you really just saying that your team is not good enough to win?
Wow.
Because I want you to know something. I never took the field with the Tigers where I didn't think that I was absolutely going to kick someone's tail. Pretty sure I didn't say tail. And
yeah, knowing Les Myles, it probably wasn't.
That we were the best team, period. It took me a time during the week to get myself in position where I said, yeah, okay, we got them. We got the plan. The plan is in. We're ready to play, Myles continued. That took some time, but I never asked to give me a break here. Hey, listen, the Tigers are good. The Tigers got good players. The Tigers can play. Hey, you know what? We didn't make any mistakes. You guys are going to play your butts off, and Saturday you're going to kick the living hell out of the opponents. You're gonna kick the living hell out of the opponents, and that's not the way it is. Certain people need to have a safety net, Myles said. He started to raise his voice. If you need a safety net, you need not coach for the Tigers.
Damn! Yes.
Les Myles going in on Coach O. And guess what, y'all? Just like Drake, he did not respond.
How could you respond? I mean, what could you say against that? You don't have a safety net at LSU, and really, that's what they've been preaching about: being patient. Wow, it's already been determined about the LSU schedule.
You got to put the bombs off like they be doing on
right. I mean, he bombed the shit out of him. That was a bombardment. Big time, because Coach Myles was right though. You don't have a safety net coach in there. You got to make it work. When you agree to be the LSU Tigers head coach, though the fan base and the boosters, those guys want to see wins, and they want to see big wins against and dominating play, especially when you facing up against some of the cream of crop team of the SEC. In particular, you have Auburn that's really stepping their game play up. Then you have guys, the dominant team winning championships is Alabama. Not to mention the coach that used to coach that's now coaching in Alabama used to coach for LSU.
Forget about Texas A&M.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's a relationship between LSU and Alabama that just a hate that just went up levels. So if you take that job, you have to be able to beat Alabama. I don't care.
We could have won.
If you don't win any games,
you could go 1-13.
If you beat Alabama, we good. We good with that. Because if you beat Alabama and you won one game 9 times out of 10, you probably knocked them out of contention. So, I mean, the reality of the situation at the end of the day is that they were given enough talent. He has enough talent to win. But the patience factor is 2018, DC. Right. 2018, they said the toughest schedule in the SEC is LSU, right?
Yeah.
I'll say so. We have the hardest football schedule in the SEC. Questions all over the place on this team, especially on the offense. Who's the quarterback? Is it Joe Barrow? Is it 2 or 3 of the other guys that's fighting for the position? We don't know. Running back positions is questions. Wide receivers are questions. But you know what's not questioned, DC? The fact of the matter that LSU's 2019 team could really be something special because they have a bevy of commitments from some of the top players in the game, including Mr. Derek Stingley Jr., number 1 ranked cornerback in the country, gave a verbal commitment to come to LSU in 2019's class, which is turning up to be a phenomenal class because you got Stingley there. Then there's also potential other recruits like John Emery Jr., the 4-star recruit from Destrehan. You got Dante Stalks, the 4-star guy out of Marrero with John Eric.
Right.
You got Ray Parker, the 4-star tight end from Ruston. You got Christian Harris, the 4-star athlete from Baton Rouge. You got Devin Bush, another 4-star cornerback from out the city. So when it comes down to it, man, and how could I forget Trey Palmer, the 4-star wide receiver from Kentwood? So they got a bevy of different really good, talented players that have an opportunity to come and be on this team. Not to mention, I didn't even mention Peter Parrish. I didn't mention Peter Parrish, the second best or the top-rated dual-threat quarterback prospect in the country.
Yeah,
is now committed to go to LSU. So I say all that to say, and I'm going to ask you this question here. Now, you talked about the patience factor and you don't have a safety net. Okay, the question I'm going to ask, and of course, fans, y'all can feel free to chime in and answer this question yourself. Should LSU be patient in 2018 knowing about that terrific 2019 class that's coming in?
No. When you got a player with the talent of Devin White, for one, just that one player that guy is transcendent, man. He's probably a top 10 for me, college player in the whole country. And you know what LSU going to give you on the offensive line and the rest of the defensive line. We always have at least offense and defensive line. So you can win the war in the trenches. You get some skilled players in there. We don't know how any of the skilled players are going to pan out. You don't really have anybody returning. You would be like, oh, what about Gage? Gage is gone. He had that 1 year, but he left.
Gone.
You know, we don't have anything going. There's a lot of talk about Jonathan Giles. Is supposed to be the man. He got the coveted number 7.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what he can do. But when you look at LSU as a program and what they've always continually been able to do, they've always had transitionary periods. We didn't know who the Honey Badger was at first. Had no idea.
Right.
You saw him make some plays.
Right.
Over there, you didn't know who he was. You heard stories about Odell Beckham Jr., but I can guarantee you nobody really knew much about Jarvis Landry.
Well, I mean, Jarvis Landry was a guy that they had inklings on, but I mean,
it was inklings.
But
like
to see them turn into
you didn't know
wide
they were going to
receivers
turn
they
into
were,
what they turned into.
Odell Beckham at LSU, you knew he was going to be something special. Jarvis Landry,
you
of
had
course,
an idea what Newman
but in my opinion, as far as with that answering that question is, I ain't gonna say it, but to me, his star kind of shined brighter than Landry. I knew Landry was gonna be a solid receiver. I didn't expect Landry to be as good as he was gonna be at the next level. I knew Odell Beckham was gonna be a star.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you had them with LSU. I'm only focusing on LSU, not focusing on the next level.
I'm
focusing on when they got here at LSU. We had an idea with Odell Beckham. Just like you had an idea with Leonard Fournette.
You knew what he was going to do.
The Leonard Fournette name was ringing bells.
When he was at St. Aug. Right. So
Odell Beckham, same thing. But Jarvis Landry was my point. You really hear him. You heard a little bit.
No, I mean,
Landry,
he was going to be good, but no.
Jarvis Landry, I promise y'all need to go look up statistics. He was almost just as productive as Odell Beckham, except he wasn't returning kicks and that whole thing.
He didn't have the flash game. The flash game.
So you always have these guys, man. LSU has done that a bunch of times. Or maybe we could have a Matt Flynn, a guy that's not overly just dramatic or flashy, but he's a winner. You won with him. So I don't agree with the whole thing of being patient, especially when you're an SEC team. The South region of the country is where all the best football players is. It's like we can't argue that most of the best basketball players are in the North because they're a lot taller. And the fact that you're talking about being patient with an organization like LSU, I'm not so sure how much they can be patient. I don't think they have that as a virtue in their mind. So good luck with that, Coach O. Les Myles' speech is the embodiment of what I know LSU to be after following them for the last 20-some-odd years.
Right.
It's always been that. Even when they weren't on the map, they always were a team that felt they were right there.
Yeah, it's this year, though, it's all the makings of it. They can gear it up to say, well, look what 2019 is going to look. We got some of the best recruits for verbal commitments. Of course, that's not a solid deal. They can also, it's just a verbal commitment. There's nothing in signing. Of course, they can recant and say, yeah, we based on this, we going to end up going somewhere else. So, but based on the commitment aspect, they're really lining up some terrific players. But 2018 is here, not 2019's in the future. So 2018 is here. And we have to focus on what this team could do this year. Now, of course, we had a previous show. We talked about dealing with LSU and what we thought that what they were going to do. But 2018, and you're dealing with so many questions at the quarterback position, running back position, wide receiver position. Of course, you get Del Pitt back on the defensive side of the ball. You have a few really good defensive linemen. Linebackers are still there. So it's going to be interesting to see that most of these guys could actually step up and contribute on a major level to help LSU actually make some steps to beat Alabama. Because a lot of people look at Alabama and says, based upon what we know, unless Joe Barrow turns into some superstar quarterback to lead this team, a lot of people not expecting LSU to be a dominant player in the SEC this year. I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I don't see it.
I understand that. And that's
and I'm a Tiger fan. I'm be honest.
And that's
with
a definite. I see the Tigers winning maybe 7 or 8 games, 9 if we lucky, right around what we did. If we get 10 wins, we need to have parade. But
seriously,
right? My whole thing,
Myles, Coach O has got a breakthrough.
My whole thing isn't that. My thing is
if that happens.
My whole thing is, as a coach and as a team, the hell with what I think. They're supposed to believe that they're contending for a national championship. Yeah. And it shouldn't be anything less. That's the type of pedigree a program like LSU has, a program like Georgia has, a program like Alabama has, a program like Oregon has, or Notre Dame, and I can go on and on with all of these teams.
Supposed to be
in the beginning of the year, this is what they're thinking, and this is what they're supposed to be thinking.
Yes.
If you're not thinking that in the beginning of the year, then how the hell will it happen?
Right.
How will it happen for the next recruiting class? If they come in on the back end of this recruiting class who was told that, would be patient.
That's amazing.
They're going to tell him, well, you got to be a little patient.
Yeah, just be patient.
Leadership has a funny way of just rolling down to the man at the bottom.
The example's been set.
If your head coach has that, this is going to be the mindset of young, malleable players. You want to mold them into being champions, even if you feel like that they may not win. Maybe this is a comment you say after the season.
Right.
But you don't tell that to your players.
Coming into
and
the
you don't
season.
go in there with the idea that you don't know what can happen.
Right.
You don't know what you fully have until you see them play in about 3 or 4 games.
Right. So, I mean,
you might have a superstar on your roster that you're not that's messing up right now.
Yeah.
But he get out there when the lights come on
and turn into something excellent. That's true.
Look at Steve Smith. Steve Smith was a guy that they had problems with. He got kicked off his original team, and he went to Utah, and he was fighting in practice and all of that. Y'all seen the NFL story? They benched him. They say Steve Smith was crying, man. He said, I got to play. And from that moment on, it turned around. And when they turned them lights on, he was a monster.
Yeah, he's
and nobody anticipated on Steve Smith being that with Utah.
No, they didn't.
That's just one player. What if you have 2 or 3 guys like that?
And I've always respected and loved Steve Smith, his stature. He always played with a chip on his shoulder. That's the same mentality that a guy like Russell Westbrook, who plays for in the basketball world, has, that chip on his shoulder, that chip on his shoulder.
Right.
But looking at the quarterback position at LSU, which is the subject of much scrutiny, Barrow, who's a transfer who comes over from Ohio State. Then there's Justin McMillan, followed by both the sophomore Myles Brennan.
McMillan is supposedly the starter right now.
But then there's sophomore Myles Brennan, who they gave some burn to last year to see if he can do something. Was unimpressive. And then there's the freshman Lowell Narcisse. So there's a few questions of who's going to rise above it and take it. A lot of people say it's going to be Burrow, including J.T. Barrett.
I think it has to be Burrow. Burrow is a senior. Burrow is a smart player. In his limited time, he did a lot more than Brennan did, probably about the same amount of reps or so. He might have had less reps than Brennan and still put up better numbers. But you go and you get this guy, he's a senior. Obviously, you told him he's going to play.
Right.
So
you got to.
I think Burrow is pretty much a lot for the number 1 quarterback spot. And then we don't know what Burrow is. What if Burrow turns out to be the second coming of at least Mettenberger? Or maybe better than him, because Mettenberger did have 2 awesome receivers. But that was the last competent quarterback we had.
And you could call out
at LSU.
Right.
So,
I mean, but that's the
what
thing.
Does that turn? That might be good for 3 wins.
It might, but it depends on who's calling the plays, which is another question.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free edutainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network, and support the true independent artist.